Hello, Seekers of Sanity. My name is Miles, and I'm going to dive into a narcissistic psychological rabbit hole that's going to be more twisted than, a rendition of Alice in Wonderland where Alice is played by Margot Robbie's, Harley Quinn. We're entering the realm of narcissistic tactics and manipulation, those masterpieces of mental gymnastics that leave victims just feeling like they've stumbled onto a reality show that's directed by David Lynch. So let's get into it. Welcome to the Narcissist Web of Deceit. So this is just where the narcissistic story begins. You meet that narcissistic person who just sweeps you off your feet, and at first you're floating on cloud nine, thinking that you've stumbled upon just a cinematic love story that you've been waiting for. It's like that scene from, Say Anything, where John Cusack holds the boombox way over his head. But wait, this is where the narcissistic roller coaster just begins. This is where they just start to first get their hooks into us. So what is this? It's love bombing, and it's more intense than a supernova. Every narcissistic storyline, playbook, whatever you want to call it all starts with love bombing. And it's a tactic so intense, like trying to drink from a fire hose of just rainbow juice. And these narcissists, these manipulative narcissists, they toss affection at you like confetti at like a Times Square New Year's party, making you believe that you're the main character in your very own rom-com. Oh, but this plot is about to twist and get more complicated and more twisted than a Tarantino film. Because this is the place we go from romance to ruin, and it's the slow unraveling. As you fall into narcissist's little snare, like Alice tumbling down that little rabbit hole, you start to notice something strange. And it's a subtle shift in a way that the narcissist treats you. And suddenly those sweet nothings, well, you know what? They turn into these little icy barbs that just kind of prick you in your heart. And this is kind of the moment where we realize that we're not in Narnia anymore, but rather some kind of narcissistic version of, like the Upside Down in Stranger Things, where nothing makes sense, where up is down, left is right, black is white, and things just switch, left, right, left, right, left, right. Everything just kind of gets to be this chaotic little bubble. It's all part of the narcissistic plan. And the plan is basically vulnerability exploitation. Narcissists become the heartstring strummers. And here's the thing with narcissists. They have this magical ability to just sniff out your emotional wounds faster than Scooby-Doo hunting for Scooby snacks. That's the narcissist. Narcissists are the emotional pickpockets of the romance and dating world. And all your vulnerabilities all mixed together with the skill of Tiesto, just creating this narcissistic playlist that's meant to disrupt, meant to dysregulate, and meant to make you feel just uneasy all the time, all in their bid for control. And narcissists create this, the illusion of healing, and it's a tragic magic act. And just when you think that this narcissist will just kind of swoop in with a wand and make everything better, they pull a Two-Face on you. Instead of the healing touch, the narcissist is more like a demented surgeon, carving deeper into these emotional scars until it feels like almost like you've just stumbled onto the set of a narcissistic, horror film that's just rendered in 3D and happening in real time. It's like they have this ability to wound and then nurture, wound and then nurture, wound and then nurture. It's almost like a cat who's caught a mouse and just wants to injure it, doesn't want it dead, just wants it to injure it just so it can have a little plaything to toss around and play with. And things continue to spiral because they become doubt planters. There's just gaslighting galore. And this is where they can make you feel like your grip of reality is just slipping away. It's like faster than Leonardo DiCaprio's mind in the movie Inception. And that's the narcissist doing. Narcissists are masters at planting doubt in your own mind, making you question your own judgment. And this is all because narcissists have almost like a PhD in reality bending. And this is what makes narcissists just masters at gaslighting. And they do this with such enthusiasm and glee. It's almost like, Jenga pieces, and they're just pulling out Jenga pieces out of your reality until you feel like you're just wobbling and about to collapse. And this is where victims of narcissism go from hope to heartbreak. It becomes this emotional tug of war. Now, why is that? Do you remember a time when you used to believe in fairy tales? And eventually, all hope gets decimated. You know that moment in Raiders of the Lost Ark when they open up the Ark? That's what it can feel like. It's like that reality of the promised land that you believed would be there just comes crashing down. And sure, you can close your eyes. You can hope that it's not real. That all of this nonsense, all of this chaos, all of this gaslighting is just a figment of your imagination until you open up your eyes finally and you look around and you see your life is just as disoriented as Dorothy when she walks out of her house and realizes that she's now in Oz. It's completely reality bending. And this becomes emotional imprisonment. This is the toxic shackles. And in these narcissistic relationships, you can struggle just to stand up to the weight of this emotional pain the narcissist continually drops on you. And what you notice is it's almost like your posture starts to change. You're no longer the confident hero, and you become just a shadow of yourself. A prisoner trapped in a cell of manipulation and narcissistic despair. Despair that isn't even in yours. It's just a fantasy that's spun out of their own heads. And you realize what it's like inside their minds, what their world is like, because this is what they recreated. And in this narcissistic world of chaos and emotional dysregulation, what ends up creating is just this feast of pain. This is like the narcissist all-you-can-eat buffet. Ever wondered what narcissistic vampires feed on? Well, narcissists have their own cravings, their own needs. And what those cravings and those needs are is to see other people suffering. Narcissists absorb anguish of others like almost as if it's just this black hole or this sinkhole that just sucks up all the joy in life. It's like they feast on it. And it's part of their parasitic nature. They become both the virus and the leech. Narcissists, when they come into your life, it can feel like it's a virus that's infected your internal emotional operating system. Or you can think of it like as a leech, just attaching itself to your heartstrings. That's the parasitic nature of narcissism. They latch onto you, draining your emotions until you're just a mere shell of who you once were. At some point, reality comes in, and what ends up happening is we just have shattered illusions, and it's the collision of fantasy and reality. Remember those dreams of happily ever after? Yeah, well, the narcissists have a way of shattering that fantasy into their twisted little reality. If your dreams are like a luxury cruise liner, the narcissist is the iceberg. Whatever fairy tale that they spin for you at the beginning of the relationship, it becomes a narcissistic nightmare. And this is the point where you're left wondering, have I become that character in a Stephen King novel? You know, like that innocent child full of hope and wonder, and all of a sudden, it's just tossed into this warped world of evil and corruption and chaos and just complete nightmare. And we find ourselves in the struggle for liberation. And it becomes almost like heart versus head. And this is all part of the narcissist master plan. And narcissists, they love to create this tug of war between your heart's desires and that logical mind of yours. And you're not alone here. It almost feels like Deadpool when he's arguing with himself in his own head, and you end up feeling torn between two parts of yourself, between breaking free and trying to desperately hold on to this illusion. They introduce another element, the numbing elixir. It's just sweet promises and empty words. It's future faking. Because narcissists, they aren't just emotional pirates, they're also skilled alchemists. Just brewing up a potent concoction of sweet promises that are like just this numbing drug. Just when you're ready to just call BS on all of the nonsense, out comes their charm. And they realize that their supply is running out. And what do? They get desperate. They put on their Casanova love bombing mask. It's like they've been serving you this spiked potion that just keeps you stuck in their web. The second you try to break free, out comes the other side. And what do they end up doing? They end up healing you just enough to endure just another cycle of abuse. Because they don't actually want to be alone. And they also want to destroy you at the same time. So what do? They just flip back and forth. Just makes no sense. It's all part of their pathology. Oh my God, the person's leaving me. Oh, I better. Hello, remember me from the beginning? And remember that future we were dreaming about? I'm going to bring that one up because, it's still true. It can still happen. It doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. It didn't happen the last 12 times. And what makes you think this time, the 13th time, or the 18th time, or the 36th time that it's gonna? It's just when we're in it, it's so hard to see. And we end up being in the prison of emotions. And this is where the walls feel like they're just closing in. The narcissist may not put you behind physical bars, but make no mistake, you are trapped. It's an emotional chaos the narcissist just constructs. And the narcissist's emotional manipulation is like puzzle pieces that seem to just change shape every time you kind of grasp at them. And you're still hoping to put this whole piece together, but the ground is shifting and the pieces are changing. And this puzzle is just a confusing, chaotic mess. And we're still, in our brains, we're like, I can figure it out. I can be the one. I can figure this mess out. And we can't. We just can't. So the next step becomes like breaking the chain. Because we're not trapped in this delusional world. There is light at the end of this twisted tunnel. And by observing from a distance, we can spot the patterns. We can see the red flags. And then magically, just escape routes appear. That's where we can just kind of start tearing down this facade and reclaim our lives. But first, we have to see this crap show for what it is. It's crap everywhere. It's all nonsense. And we're in it. We're in the middle of it. And that's where we realize there's just no point trying to make sense of this. Don't have to make sense of any of it. Because underneath it all, we are all whole. We are vibrant. We've always been vibrant. And that's secretly why the narcissist chose us. Because they want to break things that are better than them, that are healthier than them. And this is where they get their validation from. The only way I can prove my greatness and my power is to take something great and destroy it. Because in destroying something great, That validates my narcissistic, view of myself in the world that I believe since I was a baby. Nonsense. Crazy stuff. Nuts. This is where we realize that we have all the power here. The only power that they have is the power that we give them. And the sooner we realize all the crap and the lies and the manipulation, the stories just keep changing. The ground just keeps shifting. The second we say no, that's when we get our power back. So the power we gave away is the same power we can take back. So remember, we're warriors of our own sanity. We can rise up against manipulative forces of narcissism. Once we see the narcissistic patterns, we dodge their bullets. Just like Neo from the Matrix. Pew, pew, pew. It's almost like slow motion. Just the bullets just start coming out of slower and slower, and we just kind of maneuver with such grace and ease because we're living in our reality at this point, and we can break free from their toxic grip. In the words of Han Solo, just fly casual towards our own empowerment. And this is where we discover it's just the force of self-discovery is with us. It's always been with us. Forever and always. Does this resonate with you? Just write in the comments. What is it that you got from it? What was your experience like? Let's get the word out to more and more people. Please like, please follow, please share. Now, before we enter the recovery phase of narcissism, there are a few things that are important to understand. And most of it is answering the question, how the hell did I get myself into this mess? Now let's get into it. How narcissists shatter self-esteem. Imagine your self-esteem as a delicate mirror, and when you first encounter a narcissist, they present themselves as skilled mirror makers. They reflect back all the best parts of you. And they're tricky, these narcissists. They build up your self-esteem. You see yourself in the narcissist reflection of you. And that reflection is flattering. They bring up all the best parts of you. But you know what? Anything that's too good to be true, chances are it's too good to be true. In that mirror, that reflection, it can shatter instantly just like that. Almost like childhood innocence at a Def Leppard concert. Because that reflection that they give you is what they want you to see, is what they want you to feel. After the love bombing phase, there's a perception shift. And it feels like you go from an oasis to quicksand. At first, the narcissist appears as just, this oasis, this life that appears in the middle of the desert of your life. It's just a source of comfort, a source of understanding, a source of support. In your mind, what they want you to believe is that you found your Obi-Wan Kenobi that's guiding you through all the twists and turns of existence. But this is where we need to hold on to our lightsabers, because the dark side is about to reveal itself. This oasis that they created for you, it isn't real. It's an illusion. It's a fabrication. And it's made of just narcissistic smoke and mirrors and projection of everything that they think you want in a life partner. They just reflect it back to you. And you see it because that's what you want to see. And then they take joy in shattering that. What we become is a hungry soul that seeks nourishment. There is a facade crumble in the narcissist world. And it can feel like you're a character in a Dickens novel where you find yourself just craving the approval and kindness from a narcissist. It's like Oliver Twist that's just holding out this emotional bowl, hoping for scraps of understanding from your narcissist just to fill this starving heart that they've sucked dry. This is where they feel like they have all the power. And what was a flood of love and affection, suddenly the tap just gets turned all the way down to just a tiny drip. Oh, you want my love and affection, the narcissist will say? Well, here's a breadcrumb. Just a tiny little morsel, just a little bit. It's all I'm going to give you. It's all you deserve right now. It's like, it's nonsense. They just don't want to fake the love anymore. Faking it is just too hard. It's too much energy. That's where you see themselves, their soul. It's just a whole lot of emptiness. That's kind of when you realize this darkness, this emptiness inside the narcissist's chest is what they really are, and they actually don't have any genuine love and affection to give you. And at this point, you'll take the lie, you'll take the disbelief, but somehow even that doesn't feel real, and that doesn't even feel genuine. Understanding the deception, the mask cracks in a narcissist. They crack. So if you remember earlier on in the relationship when everything felt so loving and so affectionate, and they were reflecting back all the love that we thought was just infinite forever and ever. You remember that deep understanding that the narcissist just kind of created, that just kind of fabricated, that felt so real? Well, this is where the things start to crack. This beauty, this richness, this real color just dries into this dull, cracked lifeless image. And this is where we realize that the narcissist's understanding of who you are wasn't rooted in empathy at all. It was just like a mirage in a desert oasis of their soul. And it's infected your emotional landscape, leaving you feeling deserted and lonely and dissociated and disconnected, longing for just human attention, human affection that you thought was originally real. And yeah, it looked real, but if it was real, then why can't I hold on to it again? As soon as you reach out for it, it just disappears like magic. Now, emotional malnourishment, this is the descent. When the mask kind of comes off and we just can't see them for who they are anymore. When we're sucked in this narcissist world and narcissist web in the beginning, when the mask starts to crack in this descent phase, the narcissist that once provided us emotional nourishment that felt like all-you-can-eat buffet at Hogwarts. And just like those house elves that go around, it's just stop serving dinner, take all the food away, so is a narcissist. Slowly you find your emotional plate is empty and you're left feeling more deprived than, a hobbit without second breakfast. And then the hunger pains kick in. There was just so much to feast on before. And the narcissists, they seem so generous with their love and with their affection. It's like, what happened? A narcissist just isn't capable of just keeping this feast, this all-you-can-eat buffet of love and affection going for very long periods of time. It's too much work for the narcissist. And that's when you realize it's just like that buffet isn't real, and the Sunday bar, there actually never was a Sunday bar. There's no more sprinkles, there's no more chocolate chips, there's no more Sunday machine, there's no more cups, there's no more spoons. Turns out all that stuff, it was just pretend. It was rental. They just borrowed it for a couple hours just to say that, yeah, I'll make you pretend that I got this Sunday bar for you, and it's not. And there's a shift in the narcissistic relationship. So I don't know if you've noticed this, but there's a turning point in narcissistic relationships where the narcissist just becomes the insatiable critic, where flaws are forever found. Now let's look at the other side of the narcissistic dance. The narcissist's hunger, it becomes really insatiable. It's like the narcissist infects us with their criticism like a swarm of locusts that are descending upon a cornfield. The narcissist finds flaws in our character faster than Dr. Phil can see the flaws in teen wisdom. And it gets so confusing sometimes. You're wondering, am I the protagonist or am I the antagonist in this twisty little narcissistic narrative? This is where you realize in this drama that they've created that you're the food and you don't get to eat anymore. No more love, no more compassion, no more empathy. That's all dried up, gone. Not only will a narcissist take your wounds and exploit them, they'll also put salt on your wounds. Narcissists hunt for insecurity and wounds that you shared with them in that moment of vulnerability earlier on in the relationship when your narcissistic partner became, their ammunition. Those insecurities and those wounds that you shared with them in those moments of intimacy, those vulnerabilities, what the narcissist partner does is it looks at them and it packs them away and it uses them for ammunition later, just bullets in a gun that they're waiting to shoot at you. It's like the narcissists are just arming themselves with this emotional arsenal of your weaknesses and your vulnerabilities that they will later deploy with surgical precision, targeting your weakest spots with the skill of a sniper that can take down his target from like a mile away. And that's when you realize that the narcissist's psychological onslaught is more brutal than, the fight at the end of Avengers Endgame. It's just sheer chaos and terror, and everything is going at you in all different directions, and you're completely lost in it. Just being attacked by every single direction, by all their different personalities, by all their weapons that they've stored, all your weaknesses that they use against you. And the narcissists, they learn your flaws. But they also use this other technique, which is just flaws fabricated. And they create this mirage of perfection that you could possibly achieve, right? This is the narcissist stuck inside their own little narcissistic delusional bubble of grandeur. Will pick apart any genuine flaw, and the narcissist will even invent flaws that aren't even real. And they'll just pull it, right out of their butt. Just right out of their pants. Just make this up. I made it up right now. This is your flaw now. I decided. Right? It's as if they're writing this dystopian novel where you're the enemy of every storyline. And your self-image, what happens to your self-image at that point? It just crumbles under the weight of this just imaginary narcissistic critiques. Taking with it whatever's left of self-esteem and self-worth. It's so absurd. It's ridiculous. Infuriating. And let's talk about the blame game from victim to villain. In the narcissist's twisted little narrative, you, the victim, become the villain. It's stupid. I know. And the blame shifting is just like, when you flip over the sand in a sand timer, it's just victim villain. No, I'm the victim, you're the villain. They just do that, just like that, because they can. They just flip-flop, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Oh, you think you're the victim? No, I'm the victim, you're the villain. It's just the way the narcissist's mind works, because they can change reality, just like that. Just switch roles, just switch roles. And you find yourself being accused of the very flaws that the narcissist has. Explain that. It actually makes sense to them. Because they can't see their own flaws. They're like, I know there's flaws here. They can't be mine because I'm perfect. But this is a flaw. It's definitely a flaw. If I don't want it, so I'm going to give it to you. They just seemingly project their traits and flaws onto other people. It's totally the evil queen from, Alice in Wonderland. Reality. This is what I think. Right? Facts, only facts. Oh, you have a photo. Oh, yeah. No, it's not real. Oh, you have a recording. Oh, you made a video. That never happened. Okay. Gotcha. So the point of all these narcissistic games is the erosion of self-esteem, and it becomes a slow avalanche. The whole point of supply, what is the point of supply? Supply is to erode your self-esteem. As the narcissist chips away at your self-esteem, it's like watching an avalanche come down on you in like slow motion. It's just like piece by piece, your confidence just slowly starts to crumble away until you're left standing in just this rubble of a shattered identity. And you're sitting there at the bottom after all of the games, after everything's over, you're sitting there going, what happened? Who is this person? Who am I? This can't be me. It can't. But I keep hearing this voice. They keep repeating it. They see me as this way. It must be true. If someone else sees it, it has to be true. It has to. They wouldn't lie to me because they love me so much. And it's not true. It's not even a little true. It's all not even this much. No. Nothing. Not even a little bit. It's narcissistic, mind-bending reality. They do that. Twisting logic, defying laws of reality. That's what narcissists do. It's like their reality is written in sand, and with a swipe of a hand, they can draw a whole new picture. That's the way a narcissist's brain works. He's nuttier than a peanut butter parfait. And what happens with the vulnerabilities? When the vulnerabilities are exposed, it's like we're naked in the storm. Narcissists love to create this kind of feeling where you just kind of feel like you're naked in the storm with all your vulnerabilities exposed for your entire world to see. And that's how it feels when the narcissist just lays bare your deepest wounds, leaving you defenseless and raw, like a character in a dystopian novel just stripped of their armor. All your friends, all your colleagues, they're all kind of sitting there as your life's worth, and all the dirty laundry is just thrown out, and the narcissist just kind of throws it out, just right onto the front lawn for the whole world to see. Nothing that you share with a narcissist is kept secret. Everything is fair game for manipulation and control. So if you share something in confidence, the second that their trust in you wanes, or you threaten them in any kind of way, guess what? Boom! If they can hurt you, they will hurt you. That's what they do. There's pain and there's suffering. And you think that, sharing these vulnerabilities showed so much trust, and to have that trust betrayed that quickly, just based on insecurity, it's baffling. It's baffling the extent in which the narcissist will go. I hope this inspires you. And if it has, just give me a like, give me a comment, follow. I have hundreds of videos out there and hundreds more coming. Now the painful truth, which is embracing our humanity. And when a narcissist exposes all your secrets and does their whole smear campaign, throws all your vulnerabilities out in the open, there's just this painful dance with the narcissist that lays bare the truth of our own humanity. And this is a very painful dance the narcissist does. And what they end up doing is just bearing the truth of our own humanity. And the truth is that we are human, which means we are not perfect, which means we are really human. And that actually exposes the narcissist as being inhuman. Can you see the difference? No, we're not invincible superheroes. Only the narcissist is invincible superheroes with answers to everything. Excuses for whatever. We, on the other hand, are real. We're complex beings with flaws and vulnerabilities. The narcissist exploits these because our humanity is what they see as a weakness. And yet, our humanity, our flaws, are kind of what makes us human. And what makes us human makes us real. And that reveals something very scary. The narcissists fear humanity. Yes, we have flaws, but it's not because we're weak, but because we're human. And I'll take being human over inhuman 7 days a week and twice on Sunday. And 366 days on leap years. I'll take being human over whatever the hell that is. No thank you. Whatever that narcissist is, it's really messed up. You know it just can't be real. So remember, don't panic. It's all going to be okay. The unraveling of a narcissistic relationship, it's okay. It's okay. Things get messy. They're going to get messy, and there's going to be hurt, and there's going to be pain, there's going to be suffering. I get it. I really get it. And this is a point in the relationship where we can raise our metaphorical lightsaber to just our shared journey of understanding, of resilience, of growth. And in the end, it's not just about defeating the narcissist. It's about embracing our imperfections and finding strength in our vulnerabilities. And I hope that you see that the bravery and the courage that it may take to overcome these emotional battles that eventually will lead to victory. Because God knows you deserve victory after all of this mess. And here's the thing, as messy as that gets, if you can get through that mess and come out the other side, really, what is there that you can't overcome? For many of us, overcoming a narcissistic or toxic relationship, especially one that you've been involved with for years and years and years, can be one of the most difficult and challenging things we ever have to do. But what does that mean? That means we have to rise to the occasion. It means we have to rise to the challenge. And if we can rise to that challenge, if we can overcome that challenge, then we can overcome the next, and we can overcome the next one, and the next one, and the next one. And before you know it, we've got thousands of followers and hundreds of videos online, and people are actually getting it. And our communities are growing. And all of a sudden, thousands of people are now on your side that understand the chaos and that you went through. And they see who the strong one is. It's incredible. It really is. A narcissistic relationship can be summarized in just affection to starvation, and it's a heartbreaking journey. And sure, maybe you remember the days when the narcissist's affection was just flowed like a never-ending stream. You felt like a cat just basking in a sunbeam, just soaking up all of the rays, all of the love, all of the affection, all of the emotions just coming at you, making you feel so good, making you feel so wonderful. But when that tide turns, does it ever turn hard? How quickly the weather changes. Just when you're lying in comfort on the rug just gets pulled out from under you, and you find yourself flipping 3 times and then landing on your face. The whole point of love bombing is to lower your guard. This is to get you to turn over, to see your soft, cuddly side, to get you to submit, get you to surrender. And when you're exposed, whoa, in goes the knife. Right? That's kind of what it feels like. That betrayal, that first betrayal, the second betrayal, the third betrayal. And those memories of the old relationship, the old you, the way that relationship started, it just kind of crackles. And now what you need is just gauze. Lots of gauze, some stitches, just some time to heal and to recover from this chaotic mess. The validation quest, the grasping struggle. As a narcissist infects this emotional famine into your heart, you're left desperately seeking validation, like a contestant on American Gladiators, just desperately grabbing for any kind of foothold or handhold that they can through all of these obstacles that they have to suddenly make their way through. And just the opportunities of just recovering ourselves just become fleeting and fewer and fewer. And this is where we just basically settle for just crumbs of the narcissist approval. This is basically where you're just going into the waste paper basket, just looking for paper plates, just so you can lick any morsel of validation, even one from like a year old dirty plate that you're just looking for any kind of validation, hoping. It's like you don't deserve the crumbs of a cake from a couple years ago. What you deserve is the whole damn cake. You deserve it every day. What you deserve is real. What you deserve is reality. What you deserve is real love and real affection and genuine caring, not manipulation, not morphing of reality, not twisting of truth. And that love that narcissists have, it's a shelter that's turned into a trap. It's the twisted paradox. Seeking refuge in a narcissist's love is like trying to find shelter from a storm in a house that's made of storm clouds and lightning. If you're seeking shelter within the refuge of a narcissist's heartless soul, the deeper you end up entangled in their web of deceit, into their future faking, into their pretending, all of their promises. Years later, you look back and goes, where is this? Where is that dream home? Where is my dream car? Where are those vacations that we were supposed to take? Why is my bank account suddenly empty? How many more useless trinkets and toys can you possibly buy on Amazon? Honestly, these savings, these are my life savings. And they're just being sucked up into just momentary gratification for a narcissist. With narcissists, it's a distorted intimacy. It's a twisted love. Intimacy is that sacred dance of souls. And within a narcissistic relationship, it gets contorted under the just narcissistic influence, under narcissistic crazy mind-bending nonsenseness. What we thought was love suddenly turns into a trap, and it's just the hook, that love, that hooks us into their manipulation. And the narcissist attaches strings to intimacy. Who does that? Who attaches strings? Giving and taking and turning it into manipulation. Using everything. Even sex can become a weapon. Intimacy becomes something that we have to trade for? Really? It's like a Shakespearean tragedy where the story begins with love and just ends with something just so messed up, so distorted. It's like a candy heart Valentine. After years, it's just become moldy and stinky and just disgusting and completely unedible and not fit for human consumption. God, toss that away. Typical narcissist playbook goes from abundance to starvation. It's the U-turn. And back in our golden days with the love bombing, oh my God, affection from the narcissist just rained down like confetti at a Super Bowl victory party. Woo! Look at it all. Everywhere is coming down on me. Oh, I feel so amazing. This is a victory parade. I found the love of my life. Oh my goodness. And what happened? It's just you reveled in this narcissistic attention. And it's attention that you never wanted to end. I want to feel like this forever. It's like you feel like the protagonist of a rom-com met their dream love and living their life. Just rainbows and joy every single day. Sparkling unicorns and rainbows and just magic pixies just floating around. Little cupids shooting little hearts at us every single day. Oh, it's like, yeah. That mask comes off and it's just the evilness that's underneath. And what do you see? You actually see what's in their actual heart. There's a void where a heart should be. It's like a handbrake U-turn. And suddenly you're pointing in the other direction. And now you're parched, you're starving, your mouth is dry, you're left thirsty for even a droplet of praise, even a little bit. If I could just get one of those confettis that was just falling down on me from earlier, just one of them, I'd be, oh, there we go, put it right there. No, you don't even get that. It just falls off. And it's only a piece of confetti and it's not real. The void and the fillers. This is us seeking solace in these narcissistic voids that we find ourselves in. What do? When the narcissist's emotional reservoir starts running dry, you may try to fill that void with the love from others. It might be from your children. It might be from friends that you're still allowed to talk to, or that hobby or that passion that you love that you just get disconnect and just get some kind of joy out of it. Or maybe it's, zoning out on, Narcovery videos, or just YouTube clips, or, Facebook shorts. Go one after another. Or maybe it's endlessly scrolling on, Amazon, trying to find that perfect thing to make my life happy because there's such a void here. Oh, that's what I need. Pot holder cozies, because my pot holders need cozies on top of them. It's very important. That'll give me joy. I will for like a second. But any kind of affection to a parched traveler who's kind of gulping up on oasis water that turns out just to be sand. And what we're doing is we're pretending to be satisfied with just meager attention. And we're settling for less than we deserve. And try to fill that with anything. Anything that once gave us joy is heartbreaking. It really is. What starts as a shelter turns into a trap. It's where we're just besieged by lies. The desire for a narcissist emotional shelter just morphs into a trap. It's like a scene from a sci-fi flick where, the cozy cabin in the woods turns out to be a labyrinth of just evil rooms and darknesses. It's like you're yearning for safety while walking straight into the heart of deceit, into the heart of deception, into the heart of dysfunction. Now is where we realize that, there's an intimacy deception from physical to emotional lies. Intimacy, which was once the realm of emotional truth and connection, becomes this distorted mirror under which the narcissist just kind of uses, controls, and manipulates. Traditionally, physical closeness, it's seeking emotional honesty, but with a narcissist, it's different. You're left falling asleep next to their lies and deception. It's a love story, but it's with an evildoer. It's like on the other side of a two-dimensional cardboard cutout of a human being, you see that it's actually a three-dimensional rendering of pure evil. I hope all these insights inspire you because there is hope. There is a way out. And I'd love to tell you about the Narcovery Recovery Program. Just type in Narcovery Recovery and I'll post a link and you can learn more about my program. And, maybe you can join us and join this growing community of people that are just coming together after narcissism and taking their lives back. With a narcissist, there's a metamorphosis of love. It goes from sweet to sinister. It's like, you know what it's like? It's like watching a butterfly, go into a cocoon and evolving into a king cobra venomous snake. It's not what you were expecting, was it? Once sweet lovemaking now feels like this twisted dance of just narcissistic control where you're just a pawn in their narcissistic power play. In the depths of narcissistic suffering, there is the painful echo, and it goes from please to silence. Imagine just being in a void, sending out please to where a normal person with a normal heart would give you compassion and empathy. But in this case, what ends up happening is you just get silence in return. The narcissist responds to your emotional cries with this indifference and this stone cold stature, leaving you adrift in just a sea of unanswered questions. Because that sea of unanswered questions, that void, that is their reality. You see, those pleas, that begging, that's signs of your humanity. What we realize is they don't have compassion and they don't have the same humanity. And when you're sending it to a person without compassion, what we realize is they lack humanity. They lack a heart, they lack a soul. And in place, they feel all powerful because being inhuman is more powerful than being human in their mind. Because, these emotions that are part of humanity, they make you weak. Therefore, I'm just going to pick apart humanity and just show its weaknesses. Therefore, I am stronger than humanity. No. That's what makes humans great, is that we have beating hearts, and we have compassion, we have empathy. And the whole world doesn't revolve around us. We're actually worked in with the world. We're actually connected to our environment on all different levels. Socially, physically, financially, we're all interconnected. We're all souls sharing the same space, sharing the same planet, breathing the same air. That's a human realization. Versus a narcissist, which is like, I was born and gifted this air, I was gifted this planet, I was gifted all of these possessions. And it's not right that the world just doesn't give it to me because, I feel like I earned it because I decided it was. Narcissists weave this web of deception and lies multiply. Narcissistic lies are like weeds in an untamed garden, and they have a tendency to multiply again and again and spread. One lie needs to another, and you need another lie to cover up that lie, and that lie needs another lie, and this lie needs another lie, and before you know it, the entire story is just all made up. Somewhere in there is truth. Can't see it. I'm just like eye deep in someone else's lies and deception. And all these lies stacked on top of all of these other lies, it just becomes so convoluted that even the narrator, the creator of the lies, we lose track. And this web of deception becomes so intricate and so complicated that it just baffles, medical science. Top PhDs and researchers and MD psychotherapists will just be like, whoa. And in that is the answer. Is the whoa? That's the answer. None of it matters. It's all puffery. Nothing there. Noise. Here's my interpretation of a narcissist telling a story. Because they're just sounds. They're just words. They don't actually have any meaning. There's no real truth to any of it. That's it. Noise pollution. Now, navigating the minefield. It's like finding the other side. So I get it. We're travelers through this emotional minefield of narcissism. And remember that you're not alone in the struggle. We're all navigating these treacherous waters of narcissistic manipulation. And we're all seeking our way to just kind of reclaim our hearts and reclaim our truth. And the journey through the recovery will lead to a space where love becomes, a realm that is genuine, where validation on the other side of recovery is just abundant. Because what ends up happening is we become self-validating. We don't need the approvals or the validation from somebody who is just that messed up. And this emotional starvation that we're feeling, like we're right towards the end of it, it's going to be nothing but a distant memory, because what ends up happening is we just learn to open up our hearts and fill it with self-love. And we learn to love ourselves before we love others. And that means powerful. That is way powerful. That is way more powerful than anything you can imagine, because it ends up being an unlimited source of giving, of caring. There is another side to this chaos, and this mess, and this nuttiness. There is. Yes, we may be here now, but we're not staying. We're going to go over there. That's where the healing is done. Because once we're healed, we're moving on. And once we've moved on, wow, the world never is the same again. When you can start to see through lies and manipulation, like Like, wow, it's quite a powerful thing to take on into the world, to take on into all aspects of your life. At the end of a narcissistic relationship, the quest for closure is like chasing ghosts. Closure with a narcissist is like an elusive little specter that we chase, like Scooby-Doo chasing ghosts. In a toxic narcissistic relationship, it's rare as a unicorn sighting to get closure. It really is. We yearn for that neat tying of all the loose ends, but in reality, it's like hunting for a treasure on a map that's just been torn to pieces. It's just not there. Closure only comes when we give it to ourselves. In fact, narcissists know that our need is for closure, that we want closure, that we want to have resolution to all these loose ends. So what does a narcissist do? So, oh, cool, it's the last part of power that I can control over you. You want closure? All right, well, come and let me abuse you some more. Until finally what we realize is that we don't get closure from a narcissist. You know where we get closure? We get closure from us. We give ourselves closure. It comes from within. It's when we decide to close the book and say, you know, this story's over, the end. And we're just moving that garbage little trash novel that we were like living in for way too long into the recycling heap and just move on with our lives. Because we're starting a new book, a fresh book, clean pages. When navigating narcissistic relationships, you know, self-truth is the North Star within. In the midst of this whirlwind, this nutstorm of narcissistic deceit and chaos and just mind-bendery and stupidity, self-truth becomes our North Star. It's like that guiding light that leads us through the fog of all this narcissistic manipulation. Amid all this chaos, we must just kind of turn inward. And it's kind of like the Jedis that are just seeking solace in the Force. And what happens is we end up finding our own truths, and we start reclaiming our own reality, and we start identifying and taking control of our own identity and our own future. Our truth and our reality becomes our North Star. And once we have that, we'll never get lost in this forest of narcissism again. Because if we ever find ourselves that way, all we do is find a clearing, look up, self-truth, I'm going to follow that, and it's going to get me out of here, and it always does. When these narcissistic relationships end, it's like what we end up doing is just letting go of illusions, and it's just a sweet farewell. We need to release our grip on unrealistic narcissistic expectations. Those narcissistic mirages, yeah, those ones that kept us tethered into this messed up little narrative, that was never meant to be. We don't have to make sense of it. All we have to do is let it go and just release it into the stratosphere of our own self-love and our own eternal wisdom. And that's here with us. It's here with us all the time. The light of just self-love, it's always shining. It's just when the clouds are there, narcissistic clouds are there, we just can't see it. But just like a plane that leaves an airport in the storm, it just climbs up into the storm, in through these dark black clouds. What happens when it rises up above the clouds? What's there? There's blue sky. There's always been blue sky. And all this toxic narcissistic manipulation, all these tactics, they just kind of, you know, you leave them below you and you look up and there's better things ahead. In overcoming narcissistic relationships, the true victory is the liberation from lies. As we journey through this labyrinth of manipulation, remember that the real victory lies not in the battles that we fought, but in the liberation from the false illusions and the narcissistic delusions. It's like as soon as you, walk out of this fog, and all of a sudden you see the world new again. It's like you were wearing these sunglasses that were just sanded with sandpaper, and you're wearing them, you can't see anything, everything's foggy, and one day you just kind of take the glass off and you're like, whoa, everything is so bright and so clear. And it's so liberating. It is like being a butterfly that just kind of leaves its cocoon. And no longer are we trapped in this leaf, just limited to what's around us. We can actually grow and fly above it, and all of a sudden the world is completely different. We see things now on a higher level, not from the level of the leaf, it's from the level of the entire tree. And we can switch trees, and we can find food and nurture and emotional love and emotional connection pretty much anywhere in the forest at this point. We're not trapped to one leaf to feed us our entire lives. And we can go out and we can find real connections again. That's the beauty of overcoming all the lies and the manipulation and the chaos. Because at the end of it, it's not about, cleaning up the mess. It's just a matter of flying above this narcissistic chaos just to find your own freedom. And it's so nice to be on the other side of recovery. It is so nice. It's coming. It's coming. You're going to feel it too. Now, the cruel culmination, the grand finale. In a toxic narcissistic relationship, the conclusion, the ending of these relationships, it's often as intentional as, a filmmaker's final shot. What are their tools? Their tools are cruelty. So what do? It ends up being this, cruel crescendo of just cruelty, and it's just designed for maximum hurt and maximum impact. Think of it as like a movie finale where the explosions are, emotional. And what ends up happening is they leave our hearts just shattered in the aftermath. And it's okay. Just roll the credits. Let it end in chaos. Let it end in despair. Let it end in all those things. We're just going to roll those credits because this movie's over. Yeah, great. You got to sit through this horror film for like 2 hours. And yeah, you can't go and ask for a refund. But the beauty is you can always leave the theater. And you don't have to see that movie again, right? You can find more information on the Narcovery Recovery Program somewhere in my feed, or you just post Narcovery Recovery, and I'll post a link so you can find out more information on that. I hope this resonates with you. I hope this makes sense. If it does, please like, share. True closure comes from self-discovery and acceptance. True closure in a narcissistic relationship doesn't come from the outside forces. It doesn't. It doesn't really. No. It's not all neatly wrapped little packages handed to us by destiny. It's found through self-discovery. It's found through acceptance. Like finding these little hidden treasures that are just buried within ourselves. Behind all this mess, we find gold nuggets of pure reality. Pieces of our authentic self that we can then grow and mature and nurture. Those things are within us. Closure isn't theirs to give. Closure is something that we just give ourselves. There's truth amid the chaos. It's a reliable compass. Amid like this narcissistic wreckage of lies and shattered stories, and truth just becomes our steadfast companion. Truth is the mirror that reflects our reality that we've been denied. It's a reliable compass that guides us out of these narcissistic storms and into a realm of just calmness, of self-assuredness, of confidence, of security, of stability, because we create those things within. And yeah, we were compassionate and loving and empathetic, and we opened ourselves up to the wrong person, and they infested our souls. But what ends up happening is that love and that compassion that we so freely gave to others, we just create a wall, and we end up turning it inwards. We reflect our own self-compassion onto ourselves. And when we do that, what ends up happening? We become self-healing. Those wounds that others inflicted on us, we have the ability to heal because we tried to fix them and we couldn't. But that energy, that effort, that knowledge, that empathy, that compassion, well, guess who we can fix? We can fix this person, that person, you. You're the one that can be fixed. And you have that ability because you have empathy and your compassion. That's what the narcissist preyed on. So if you have it, give it to yourself. There's a power of self-reflection, and that's in reclaiming identity. In the aftermath of a toxic narcissistic relationship, we find time for self-reflection because they're not sucking up all our energy anymore. We have time to just reflect back inwards. And this is the key to rediscovering our identity post-narcissism. It's like returning to the scene of a mystery, just piecing together all the clues that we missed, and finally understanding the plot that was always there. It's just we didn't see it when we were in it because we were in it. But with self-reflection and self-discovery, we can see where everything kind of went bad. And we see red flags we never saw before. And yeah, we didn't see it then. We didn't, but we see it now. The end. The story's over. The mystery has been solved. We unpacked it. We figured it all out. We saw where everything went wrong. And now we're moving on with our lives. Because you know what? Yeah, there was misery over there, but guess what? There's joy over there. So that's where I'm heading. I'm heading that direction. Because I was over there, it sucked. It sucked monkey balls. Really did. There. 180 degrees from whatever that is. That's where we're going. In the healing process, there's an awakening cycle. And it's a dance of awareness. Awakening after narcissism isn't just like a one-time event. It's like this, cyclical dance that changes like the seasons. And through the recovery process, what we end up doing is just oscillating between moments of clarity and periods of confusion. And each one gives us a little opening, a little awakening that just propels us forward on the path of self-realization. It's the whole yin and yang analogy. Yeah, sometimes our minds will just get sucked into the darkness, but when we sit and hold this darkness, what ends up appearing, just like the yin and the yang, it's just like light appears. In the middle of the darkness is always light. There's always light. We will find the light every single time because every single cloud does have a silver lining, every single one. even this mess that you're in right now will have a silver lining, because you will learn how to listen to yourself. You'll learn how to be with yourself. You'll learn how that your instincts are actually really good. Your instincts are really strong. And even though they were manipulated, you can actually figure them out. And then you can unpack it, you can fix it, and boom. It's not a problem anymore. And it's no longer going to be a hook or a vulnerability that another exploitative person just like that one has done. Well, for most of us, this wasn't one narcissist. There's generally several of them that just kind of line up. And once we see one, we start to realize that there's been other smaller narcissists in the background that have just been sucking out our joy in our life as well. And we end up just kind of shielding ourselves from them. And that gives us even more energy, because there's no longer this drain of emotional garbage just being sucked out of us. Narcissist relationships start as a love story that's just marred by manipulation. It's this Prince Charming now has a dark side. That's what we realize through these narcissistic relationships. And what once appeared falsely as, a love story, a fairy tale between Prince Charming, now reveals that narcissistic manipulation and deception were just always there, always in the shadows, always lurking just behind just this romantic facade. And it was just like a reminder that, even the most enchanting narratives can be tainted. A story that we can see clearly after the fact, 2020, hindsight, 2020. We see it clearly now. And once we have hindsight, well, what's next? Foresight. And with that comes the ability to come to terms with what we went through and move on from it. Post-narcissism, the true source of happiness becomes, reality's embrace. In the pursuit of happiness, we can often chase after the illusion or the image of, this Prince Charming on a white horse that's coming to save us. Beautiful princess asleep in the forest, and all I have to do is give her a little kiss and then she's mine forever, right? Because the real happiness lies after narcissism, and that happiness is not a fabrication, not even a little bit. But it becomes our embrace of reality, of knowing what's real, knowing when we're being manipulated, being able to see the difference between fantasy and reality. It's a grounding force that we keep with us forever. It's realizing that the absence of these illusions can be more liberating than the grand illusion itself. And we end up climbing out of our lives, and we end up riding our own white horses and riding our own butts off into the sunset. That's right. At the end of the roller coaster ride, we find self-discovery and healing. So, fellow travelers, through this narcissistic roller coaster ride of self-discovery and healing, remember that while the road may have been treacherous, and the destination ends up being worth every single little twist and turn that we kind of took. The path to liberation, that's where it takes us. The liberation from narcissists and their false narratives, which leads us to a place where happiness is rooted in truth, where happiness is rooted in reality. And this is the narrative of a hero's journey. Because a hero's journey ends with the ultimate victory, and that's a reclamation of our own lives. So despite all the chaos and the nonsense and the tomfoolery and just all the monkey business and just the dirty laundry just spread out all over the world so the world can see it, may your story of recovery just be filled with tales of just resilience and transformation and triumph. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please like, please share. You can find more information on the Narcovery recovery program somewhere in my feed, or you just post Narcovery recovery, and I'll post a link so you can find out more information on that.